Hello everyone, my name is Kate Marshall. The name of my channel is called Inked Paper Art. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make hidden paper clips, and then you have the option of adding a beaded bookmark or not to your hidden paper clip. I'm going to show you how to make both ways. Let's go ahead and get started. This project works best if you make it out of cardstock, just because it's a hidden paper clip. It needs a little bit of durability. So you could use Tim Holtz cardstock like I'm going to use today, or you could use digitals that you printed out onto cardstock. You could take junk mail and collage on top of junk mail. You could take a thin sheet of paper that you like and you want to use and glue it with glue stick to a piece of generic cardstock. But I'm going to use the Tim Holtz cardstock, and so I've cut down the Tim Holtz cardstock. It comes 6 by 10 inches, and all I've done is I've taken a 2¼ inch strip off of one of the ends. So my base layer is 2¼ inches by 6 inches. And then I've quarter rounded all of the corners. So all of my bases have all 4 corners rounded already. I did a 1/4 inch round. And then the decorative top layer for my hidden paper clips, I'm going to use these small collage strips. And it's just because they color coordinate. They're going to look lovely, right? And this is a quick make. I'm mass making these today. So these are the small ones. They measure 1½ inches wide. So you've got 2¼ inches by 6 and 1½. They're going to layer on top of each other. However, you're going to need to cut and pick out which section you want of it for the decoration. Let's go ahead and get started making these guys. You're also going to want some of the jumbo paper clips. You might be able to use smaller. I just have jumbo, so that's what I'm going to use. But just regular jumbo, I think these are like 2½ inches or something long paper clips. And basically, here's how we make this project. You take your base layer. After you've cut it down, you've quarter rounded it. After you've done that, now take your base layer, you're going to fold it in half. I've showed you how to make these hidden paper clips a bunch of different ways before on camera. This is just a new twist, different way of decorating and different way of adding that beaded bookmark to it. So go ahead, fold them in half, all of them, right? And then go ahead, give those all a crease with your bone folder, and then take your paper clip. And it doesn't matter which way you put the paper clip, either the small section, front or back, it doesn't matter. Slide it over the top up here, okay? Just like that. Once you get all of those done, then we'll come back and we're going to decorate the front, decorate the back, and then we'll do the beaded bookmark coming from the top of the paper clip. I'll show you step by step, but let's go ahead and do all of our bases and I'll be right back. All right, so I've done some of them, prepped them all right. So I cut down my cardstock 2¼ by 6, folded it in half, corner rounded everything, slid on my paper clip. That's where we're at. Now these ones I didn't do yet because based off of whatever strip I have here, I might decide the inside paper looks better or whatever. So I held those off to the side for us to do together. I'm going to start with this black one here because we know what we want to put on it, or at least I know what I want to put on it. So anyway, this one just has some map. It's like a black and white print of a map. And I'm going to use these guys down here for the front decoration. So this one I basically can just cut right across the middle. And this is going to decorate this side, right? We're going to need to trim just a little bit more off of that probably, but that's going to decorate this side. The reason why we're cutting these strips is because if you just fold them over, the back side will be upside down. So you want to cut your strip. There's actually 2 reasons, but the number 1 reason is if you don't cut your strip, the back side will be upside down. So I'm going to use this for the front. I'm going to use this for the back. Now everything will be right side up, right? Now I do want to have this be a little bit shorter. The strip needs to be slightly shorter than the length that it comes. And so I'm just going to slip off the bottom part of this one. And I'm going to save that because that could be used for a little label or something later. So there's that. And then right here, you know, I could take off some of this alphabet and I wouldn't be sad about losing some of that. So I'm just going to snip off some of that. And there's that. So you want them to be where there is a little bit of cardstock. Your base layer should show all around 3 sides. It's going to line up flush at the top, but your base layer should stick out of this layer all around 3 sides of it. Okay. Now, if you want to corner round these pieces as well, I would suggest to go ahead and doing that now. So we're just going to corner around this one, corner around that one. And so then from here, you can decide which side you like, you know, whatever picture you've chosen, like the map with that. And then all of this text back here, maybe, I don't know, it's a little busier that way. Let's flip it. That looks good. So we're going to glue this one just like this. And I'm going to show you how to glue this. And then we're going to make these one by one together. So if you feel like I'm moving a little bit too fast, just hang in there. We're going to go ahead and glue these. Before you glue, you want to go ahead, ink around it. If you like inking, go ahead and do that now. Specifically where we cut the little piece at the top. But we're going to make these, going to be a little bit longer of a video because we do have to make a beaded bookmark as well. So got a couple steps to this project. Now, if you want to ink around this now, you can, or you can ink around it later. The base of it doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and assemble this one, and then we'll keep going with this. So the glue that I'm going to use today is the Fabri-Tac glue. Now, if you want to add a layer of tape in here to cover your paperclip, you can do that. I don't feel like it's necessary. It's helpful if you feel like that your paperclip is going to move around too much. Sometimes I just use packing tape, which is just the clear tape. You can use the paper tape if you want. Today, I'm just going to go ahead and glue them. We have quite a bit of stuff to get done today. So I'm going to take Fabri-Tac and I'm just going to add Fabri-Tac right on top of my paperclip. Just right in there, kind of smush it all around. You're going to not be stingy with your glue for this project. So that kind of shows you how much glue I've got going on in there. Quite a bit, right? And you're going to glue both sides of your paperclip. Okay. So just go around the paperclip, both sides, inside, outside of it. There we go. So that's that part of it. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to add in your decorative element over the top, right? And so to do that, you're going to want to add glue to that element. Usually I just do one side at a time, but I kind of jumped the gun here. So we're going to add glue, and you could use the Fabri-Tac, you could use our glitter glue for this part. It's not as important. The Fabri-Tac, you know, it's a stronger glue, and I like going over the paper clip with it. But to glue the paper to paper, you could obviously use your art glitter glue. So I've got to go ahead and add that on that side. And then we can set this down now, kind of press it down, and we'll add this to this side. And this is basically how you make the hidden paperclip part. And then we're going to make the beaded bookmark part. So just adding glue there, making sure I've got it all around the edges. Adding that layer to that. Now, if you wanted to decorate with something else, you certainly could do that. So we want to line up the little strips flush with the top. So to do it, I'm just going to flip it over and I'm going to slide that down just to make sure that my paper is completely flush. My paper, the top layer, should be very flush with the top of your base layer. The last thing that you want to do is you want to take your pokey tool and take that paper clip and just put your pokey tool right inside of the tip of it. And you want to pull that paper clip out just a little bit. See how my pokey tool will go right through it? That's really all you need. Just a little bit of that paper clip sticking out right there. You could leave it that way before you glue everything together, but usually it will move just a little. But your pokey tool right through the center right there is all you need. You just need it to be poking out of the top just a little bit, because that's where we're going to attach the beaded bookmark. So basically right now you have a very lovely hidden paper clip. I'm just squishing that all down, gluing that all together, making sure there's no gaps, everything's all flush. So right now you have a lovely hidden paper clip. Now with this little piece, any of the little pieces that you cut off, you could go in here and collage them back on, and that's probably what I'm going to do. You could add in some other like old book page, some postage stamps, whatever else you want to do to decorate these up. But we're going to move on and do, we'll make a couple more bases, and then we're going to start working on the beaded bookmarks. Okay, so just remember, when you cut off those little strips, they obviously can be added back in wherever you want them to be, and you can mix and match. Like I'm going to save all my little strips, my little cutoff bits to the very end, and then layer them back on. So there's one base ready to go for the next step. Let's work with this pink one. I'm going to try to keep that paper clip up, but again, it's going to move. And I find using the pokey tool gets me the perfect distance. Otherwise, some are up too high, some are down too low, whatever. I like the pokey tool method, but you do you with it. So this one, I have already cut down some cardstock here, the little collage strip, and we could use this one on this. We could use the darker pink one maybe. Let's go ahead and look at that. Let's use the darker pink one. And let's put this little girl right here on the front of this. So let's see. Doesn't really matter what side she goes on. I can see we're just slightly off center there. There we go. Let's just pick a side and we'll go ahead and corner. Again, you want to corner around these. Just at the bottom part. Don't corner around the top part, okay? And then this is the back decoration. Oh my gosh, decoration. Yep, that's what I said. We're going to add the glue, this time just to one side of the paper clip, right? Just in there, get a lot of glue in. Add our glue to this front decorative piece. So yes, you can sit and mass make these while you're watching TV or something like that. It's just a fun little project, and the beaded bookmark is really what makes these special, I think. So we're going to slide that up all the way flush to the top. There's that. I'm just going to poke this pokey tool in there. Push that down. Everything's lined up there. We're good to go. Let's go ahead and get the back layered on. Remember, you need to glue both sides of your paper clip. You can't just glue one. It does need to be extra overbuilt. That's just the way that hidden paper clips work. And this is just the little tiny piece right here that we're going to decorate with. And it's because I cut out the middle of this strip because I wanted that picture. So, you know, if you want to use a couple strips, you can use them, but I just figure this is enough. All we're trying to do with this layer is create a hidden paper clip just to cover up the paper clip. Obviously, I will come in and decorate the rest of this. But for now, we're just creating that hidden paper clip. So you can see there's my hidden paper clip. There's the front of the decoration. This one had a piece of the strip cut off, and that was this. This can be used later in some other project, but for the back side of this, I will just come in and do a little collage down here, and that will be that. So there's that one. We'll do one more. Let's work with one where I don't know exactly how I want it. So we have some other pink ones here. And I have this piece of green cardstock, and I don't know if I want the words, right? The words or the pattern. You could do the lady with the green flowers. It does look very nice, but I'm not sure on that one. I think maybe we're going to do this one. And we could do the butterfly. That's okay, but I think if we're doing the butterfly, we'd want to put it on the words. And then we have the people for the other side. So one side I think looks better. One side looks better with the pattern, right? And one side looks better. I think the butterfly looks better on that. So in this instance, maybe you want to mix up your strips. Maybe you don't want to have the whole green strip on the same paper clip. Maybe you want to save this for a different one and you want to use the butterflies on this side down here. That's, you know, entirely up to you to mix up your strips. You don't have to use the same strip on the same paper clip. So there's that. I'm going to put this butterfly on here. So there we go. I'm going to get my paper clip on. I'm going to add glue to one side of it, and I'm just going to go ahead and try to leave it up there. Adding glue all around that, inside and out. We need a quarter around this. I find it better to mass make them where you do all the steps all at the same time. So normally I would corner round all of my pieces before I even started assembling them. But today we're just, you know, we're going one step at a time. And so we're going to glue this down and cover that paper clip. These are super fun to make. I hope you guys get a chance to sit down and make them. Whether you go the extra mile and you do the bookmark or not, I think it's extra fun. So there's the butterfly on that one. Love it. And then we have the back portion. So the back portion, again, I could use whatever is left over here, and that's honestly fine. So we're just going to do that. But you could mix up a different, a different strip and put something else back there, a different color or something like that. So for this one, I kind of like the wallpaper look at the bottom. So I just want to cut some of this off. Right? And then I could use this on maybe the butterfly side even. But we're going to use that there. Go ahead and corner around it. There we go. We'll do some little ink around it just because we have, the Tim Holtz cardstock has a white base to it. We're going to put that pokey tool in there and position that. Glue this down. And so this glue will dry in here. It does take probably overnight, honestly, for it to dry. You'll be able to use these right away, but that glue will set up for that paper clip the longer you leave it. And then I just do a thinner bit of glue on this. Glue that down. It came out looking very nice, if I do say so myself. And I just try to position this where it's an equal distance around the three sides for the most part. You do you, it doesn't really matter. Again, I will come in and add additional collage elements on top of these. I'm just getting the bases done right now. We'll do the final decoration here in a little bit. So there's that. And that, it looks really lovely. I like it. We do have this little bit that we cut off. And again, it kind of makes a nice little layering bit. I mean, you could come on and layer up over top of the strip even. So useful. I'll save them to the end because maybe I want to mix this one from the neutral one on there. And that looks even better. Maybe you want to divide up that line right there and add it there. So I'm going to save those for later like we talked about. There's that. All right, so let me go ahead and make a couple more and then I will pause, finish this step, and we'll make those beaded bookmarks. This one it's kind of a check, a French digital of a check printed on cardstock. And then we have this light teal, and I'm not sure what one would look best with this. This one was a little bit like, I don't know what's going to look good on here. Maybe these boys. Let's do those. So I'm going to cut this strip right here. Okay. And then we'll cut off the rest of that here in just a second. But they're fun to play with because it's a lot of mixing and matching, which I always like to mix the patterns and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's fun to sit and make. And then for the beaded bookmark, it's really fun as well. You get to play with some beads. If you're like, me and you used to bead jewelry, well, you probably have a ton of beading supplies that, maybe you're not using anymore. So you get to chance to repurpose some of that. And so, yeah, we're going to put some beaded bookmarks on these. And then you'll be able to move them around in the journal and you'll have your bookmark move with you. So they just slide onto the page, and I'll show you that too when we're done. They just slide onto your journal page. Usually one is plenty in a junk journal, but if you want 5 in a junk journal, put 5 in a junk journal. So there's that. Put those boys on there. And then again, this is slid up just a little too far. So I really do like just putting the little pokey tool, all whatever you want to call it, in there. I think it just evens it out so that you don't have any that are too high or too low. Okay, there's that. Perfect. And I'll ink around the outside edge, the base layer, all at the end. And now we need to work on this one. So we'll get the glue on the paper clip, and then we'll talk about putting the next layer on. Okay. And now we have this. So I think we're just going to cut off this extra blue piece. Yeah, we're just going to cut that off. Right there. What a cute little bit of ephemera though for a cluster or something. Super cute. So when I pause, I'll probably sit and do all the steps all at the same time. All right, this is the last one, and we'll move on to making the bookmark. I'll finish all the rest of my bases and I'll show you those. Okay, so there's that. Get that on there, slide it up. And depending on how heavy you were with your glue, you just want to make sure that your little paper clip hole is open. I don't have any that are even nearing closed, but if you are super heavy with your glue, you might end up with them filled with glue. So just be aware of that. Okay, so that's those. So far we've got these ones done. We'll come back and I will have made some more and show you those, and we'll make the bookmark portion. Alrighty, so I have assembled them. I have not fully decorated them, but I have assembled them. So here's a couple. You can see I did just what I showed you I was going to do. And now we're going to make the beaded bookmarks. And then at the very end, I will do some embellishing on these, adding additional layers. You could add little lacy bits. You could add the little labels or any type of paper scraps that you had left over. You could add anything to them. You also could add like a little pocket if you wanted to, but there's so many other things you could layer up on these. The point of it is to make a very sturdy base out of cardstock. The way that these will work is they'll slide down over the top of a paper to be a hidden paper clip. But let's go ahead and move on and add the base of our beaded bookmark. This is our hidden paper clip. Now we're going to add the base of our bookmark. And so for the bookmark, I'm going to use waxed linen thread. And I'm going to add beads to that, and it's going to dangle off the top. This is why we left this little paper clip sticking out of the top, so that we could tie off our string to them. So basically in a journal, if I make a 9x6 journal, I'm going to need about a 14-inch piece of string. And I like to double mine over. So you're just going to pull off a piece. I like it to dangle off I don't even have a journal in here, but I like it to dangle off I don't have anything in here. I like it to dangle out of the bottom of my journal. So I'm going to make mine about 28 inches, right? Like 24, 28 inches, right? Somewhere in that range. So I'm going to make a nice long string. I'm going to take that string, fold it over in half, just like I have here. I'm going to start out by making one side longer than the other side. So I've got one side that's about 3 inches longer than the other. And then I'm going to take it through that loop up there at the top. There's my paper clip. Just poke it through there. Hopefully it goes through. That's why I was saying make sure you don't have glue. That pokey tool, again, will be helpful if you ever need to poke anything through. Like it goes through just fine. We're just having trouble getting it. There we go. And then all you do from here is put it through like that, right? Just tie it to the top of there, just with a little knot. I just put it through itself, basically. So there's that, and that's going to be where we're going to attach our beads. You need to leave your strings the length of your journal, right? The height of your journal, plus however many inches that you want at the bottom to tie your beads onto. And so I like to leave one longer than the other, so that when you're dangling them out of your book, you have the beads at different heights, okay? So there's that part. I'm going to go ahead and trim this one up just a little bit. Again, I don't have a journal in here to make sure this is the correct size, but 24 inches should do it. 28 if you really want a long dangle. Okay, so we have all of that. We have those done. Now we need to start by making the beads, right? So I have just some simple little, sorry for the noise, simple little crystals. They're AB crystals. I have some pink, I have some white. I have some little pearls. These are the beads from Hobby Lobby, the little seed beads, that kind of thing. These are very inexpensive. And I'm just going to dump some beads into the top of this cap. I don't need very many, just a few here into the top of that cap. I like to use different size and different shaped beads. We can dump some of these as well. And then basically all of my beads, except for the pink and the clear ones. The pink and the clear are from Amazon. I will link them. They're actually Austrian crystal beads, but the rest are from Hobby Lobby today. So these ones in this cup, the AB ones, they're actually from Austria. So we also have some pearls. Let's see, these are from Hobby Lobby. I think we'll start out with the pearls. Okay, so after you've got your strings tied on, again, this is something where I would sit and I would tie all my strings all at the same time, and then I would come in and start tying my beads on. And so all you do, and the reason why I'm using waxed linen thread is so that it stays together, because I'm not using a beading needle or anything else. I'm just going to stick the bead onto the end of my string. And so I'm going to start with one of the small little pearl beads. Let me hold this up. I'm going to start with one of the small little pearl beads. You can see some little pearls in there. I'm going to start with one of those at the top, and you're just going to make basically a bead dangle, but down here at the bottom of your paper clip. So I've got one pearl on there, and then from there we could go ahead and add one of these pink ones. I don't have my good readers on, but one of these pink ones. And then maybe we want to add one of the pearls from in here. Actually, I see something I'd like better. Let's go ahead and add one of these aqua little solid beads. Again, these are from Hobby Lobby. The ones from Hobby Lobby are actually very good quality. I'm going to go with something like this, a little teal. And if you have trouble getting it through the hole, I would suggest that you use the pokey tool or a needle or something like that to poke it through. So you can see what I've got going on here, right? And I'm just going to layer it back down now. So now I've got that turquoise one in the center. I'm going to do the pink one as best as I can without my good readers on. Let's see if I can do it. I'm telling you, seeing the little bead holes sometimes gets difficult. And then another little pearl one. And this is just a very basic, like it's not meant to, it's not meant to take an hour. Just a little basic one there. If you want to add some metal, bead caps or something like that in there, you certainly could do that. I'm just doing this one pretty simple. You can see it matches well with the colors I've got going on here. And so if you want to keep these, if you want to keep your bead dangle all the way down at the bottom so that it can't slide up, you need to tie a knot before you begin. I don't mind that my beads will slide up. So on this one, I'm just going to tie a knot at the bottom. Just a double knot there at the bottom, and hopefully that will, again, I can't see anything. Hopefully that will keep it from sliding down. There we go. Let's check it and make sure that the bead dangle stays on the rope, right? You just want to kind of give it a little pull. Don't pull super hard, but a little pull. And then you just want to trim off the excess. Now you can tie it to where the excess tucks back in to the knot so that it is even more secure. But for most purposes, this is fine. It's just a little paper clip. If you want to go ahead and tie a knot now up at the top, you can do it, but it is harder. That's why I'm saying if you want to tie that knot to keep your bead dangle all together and all the way down at the bottom of your string, tie the knot before you begin layering on your beads. So there's that one. Let's do the same thing or something similar over here. So let's do the little pearl. And so this is what I would do. I would just, sit here, play with my beads all day and tie these on. And then by the end of the day or, an hour or so into this, you'd have a bunch of, how long has this video taken me? This video has taken me right now about 45 minutes. So with all the beading, obviously I need to go get some better readers, but with all the beading, you'd probably be an hour and a half and you'd have, 10, 15 of them done, depending on, how long it took you to pick out your beads and all that kind of stuff. For this one, I'm just going to do exactly the same bead combination, but you don't have to. You could totally do different beads. You could change up the order. If your strings start to separate out, you can just put them back together and run it back through your fingers. If you have beeswax is also helpful to keep your strings together. The pokey tool, if you run into any trouble, poking your string through with the pokey tool does make this process go a little faster. A beading needle also makes this process go a little faster if you feel that you need to have that. Honestly, you don't need any of those things. It's perfectly fine just doing it just like this, but if you run into trouble, there's those things you could try. Oh, this is the wrong color of pearl. Must use the right color of pearl. And we're almost there. Good. Now, again, this is just one where I, didn't tie a knot at the top. I'm going to end up tying 2 knots together down here on top of each other just to keep this a larger knot to where it'll keep my beads from falling through. We'll test that, give it a tug. As long as it's good, tie that nice and tight so it doesn't come undone. I'll trim it pretty close, leaving a little bit of a tail there. Now you could tie a charm. You could tie a charm on down here at the end. You could tie a charm on. For this one, I just kept it simple. And so it's just going to dangle down. Like this is going to go over the top of my page in my journal. And these are going to be my bookmark. Now you can tie as many beads as you want, but I will caution you to keep your beads. If this is going at the top of like an 8.5 inch page, 8.5 tall page, you want to keep your beads down to where they're not going to be in the way of writing in your journal. So keep them low enough to where they're not like up here in the way. I mean, you can take this off so it's not the end of the world, but I think it works better when you keep them at the very bottom. So there's those two, and you'll just keep working all the way through. This is the way it works on a page, right? So you just take your bookmark and you slide it. The reason why you need to make it out of cardstock, honestly, is because it just slides on easier, right? So it's going to slide at the top of a page. Your beads are going to dangle out of the bottom. I should shorten this one just a little bit. And because I didn't tie that knot at the top, I do have the option to pull it up and retie. I'm going to do that quick. But you'll dangle your little beaded bookmark out the bottom of your bookmark. Out of the bottom of your journal. I can't do 2 things at once, apparently. And so there's that. I moved them up just a little bit. And they're going to dangle right there out of the bottom of your journal. Just pretend like this pink page is a journal page. I kept my beads out of the way of any journaling or anything like that. They're going to dangle out the bottom. And this can be moved around from any place in your journal. Like you can move it from page to page. You can do it even on the side. If you want to do it on the side and have just a short little dangle of beads coming out, you can do it that way. And then our bookmarks look good from either side of the paper because we, again, I need better readers. Our bookmarks look good. They look good here, right? This is an amazing looking little bookmark that was very simple to make, but it also looks good from the back. And right here, we would layer up some labels or some other decorative elements, some lace, whatever you wanted to put there. It is super cute. So let's make a few more, right? That was one. We'll just keep working with them and make a bunch. And then these just stay in my ephemera basket. I like to wrap them like this and just keep them in my ephemera basket and use them as we go. So this is a little bit different one. Let's use the metal looking beads on this one. We have some bronze beads in there. You just want to make sure you leave your string long enough. The string is cheap. Don't worry about, oh my gosh, I wasted 2 inches of it, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's all good. Take it through. And so I've got a loop. Right here where I have a loop, I'm going to tuck the tails through the loop. That's what holds it to your paper clip. And you can just barely see the top of that paper clip. Honestly, not at all. And there we go. And then I'm going to take these bronze beads. This time I do want to tie a knot. So I'm just going to pick a spot and hope it's good and tie a knot right there. That will work. You can measure. If I had a journal sitting next to me, I would totally measure, but I don't have a journal sitting next to me. There we go. There's a nice knot there. And then I'm going to take these bronze colored ones this time. Maybe, possibly. There we go. And then let's see, what should we use with this one? Let's put, what do we have? Let's put one of these guys. So all of these beads in these little containers, other than these ones, are from Hobby Lobby. So let's use one of these, like little, I don't know what color these are. It's kind of a yellowish, honestly, it looks like vintage photo. Let's call it that. Let's put it on there. Maybe. Normally I would mix in some metals, but I didn't feel like we needed that today, apparently. I didn't bring any charms in here, but it's easy enough to add charms to the bottom if you want to later. So we've got that going on. Let's add one of these champagne pearls. So we've got that. I usually do 5 to 7 beads per bookmark. Depends, but 5 to 7. So that's what we've got. Now you could add additional little bronze ones. Maybe this time, let's back this off and let's put a little bronze one in between. So these little guys, they're super cheap. They're just little seed bead tubes at Hobby Lobby. They do go on sale half off all the time. And I think you can get the whole tube for like $2.99. So if you watch the Hobby Lobby ads, they'll tell you what's going to be on sale every week. Hobby Lobby does have a website where you can order stuff from them. So we're going to do it like this time. And then we need another one of these ones. Let's see if I even like this before we tie it. It's okay. I guess for this side, we'll make it like this. And then for the other one, I won't put the little bronze beads in the middle. I usually only have one tray of beads open at a time because I'm frequently the person who spills their tray of beads. So before I spill it, let's close it. So that's what that side looks like. Just a bunch of neutral colors. And now I'm going to tie this one. I'm pretty short here, honestly. We're going to tie that one up. Now, when you tie it, when you put the knot at the top first, you don't have as much leeway to tie that knot. So you want to make sure you're either very experienced at tying knots, or the trick is to use your pokey tool and slide that knot all the way up. And so if you put your pokey tool in there, let's see, put your pokey tool in there, you're able to slide that knot all the way up. And it will look like that. And it will keep it, you'll be able to slide the knot exactly to where you want it. And then just trim off the little excess. There's half of that one. So that one would be theoretically the longer one. And we'll try to make this one a little shorter and smaller. So let's do the bronze. Yeah, so you just layer on whatever beads you want. If you have like recycled junk jewelry, that would be a good option too. You don't have to keep it all symmetrical and same beads. I'm just doing that. I felt like it was easier today just to use the little trays of Hobby Lobby beads. But, you know, if you want to use junk jewelry or make things really, you know, not the same on both sides, that would be great too. Let's see. I think we used this color. Ooh, the matte black would have been good on there too. For now, I'm going to keep them the same, but that matte black bead up there in the top corner, I didn't see it, or else we would have been using that. This bead has too small of holes. I do notice that, you know, most of the beads these days, they're made in China, even Hobby Lobby, you know, right? Made in China. But sometimes they have a coating on them, and the coating it, it makes the holes too small as I'm being butterfingers and not being able to get this one through. And if the coating is in the way, again, usually the pokey tool, you can get that on there and clear out that hole. So I'm saying pokey tool to the rescue for most things, honestly. There we go. And then we'll put this one back on. And so this is the same way that you would go about tying beads onto your signature strings. If you sew in your junk journal signature and you want to put some beads at the end of your, I didn't tie the knot first on this one. Oopsie, but oh well, we're going to continue. But if you want to add beads to your signature string, this is, you know, the same process for that basically. So there's that one. That one's just a little bit too short, but that's okay. We're going to keep it there. There we go. So here's this one. And they're pretty different lengths. That's what I said. This one is a little too short, but it's okay. I'm going to leave it. I didn't feel like undoing it all. I need to quit talking and start focusing. But there's that one. And so it looks pretty good. I mean, I think all in all, our color combination looks pretty good, right? We've got these honey colored, I'm trying to show them, but they're not at the right length to show perfectly. But honey colored beads, I cannot even begin to show you. And see, if you don't tie that knot at the top, they're going to move. So again, I'll stop talking and start focusing. Let's do one more where I actually focus. Let's use, I don't know, let's do something that looks different. Let's do one of these. Let's do this one. Okay. So string, double it over, make one shorter, one longer, poke it through. Sorry for the long video, but in truth, it is 2 videos. It's how to make the beaded bookmark as well as how to make the hidden paperclip. Okay, so for this guy, let's use some red beads. And I'm actually liking these ones, so let's use those. And let's use, there's a little bit of a cream colored pearl. Let's use that. The cream colored pearl. Let's start with the clear, and then we'll do that red one in the center. And so they're different sized beads and different shapes. We've got a rondelle and a round. Maybe. You need good glasses or good eyesight. Apparently I have neither today. Oh, goodness. So this is only the second video, and it is already Sunday at 6 o'clock. So I know it has taken me a long time to redo the 365 videos. However, time goes pretty quickly when you do involved projects, which is why a lot of the time in the 365 series, I am limited to only doing short little project videos. I will try to do a couple more videos, but it is 6 o'clock on Sunday. I'm not sure how many I will get done this week. And again, I didn't tie a knot first, but it's okay. We're just going with it. Again, I can't focus. I simply can't do it right now. There we go. I got to tie a third knot because I wasn't paying attention again. There we go. Okay, so trim that off. There's the first half. It's like a little vintage color, right? So perfect. Okay, now let's do this one. And I do like the symmetry of, you know, just this repeating the same bead combination. There's that one. One of the joys of using a beading needle is you can just load them all on at the same time, all your beads on at the same time, and then just slide it right up onto your string. If I knew where a beading needle was. Somewhere. There's probably dozens of them, but I don't know where they are at the moment. I really need to spend a significant portion of time clearing and cleaning my craft room, which is across the hall. So for this one, I did exactly the same color combination on both strings. And we need to see how long this one needs to be. Again, you can use your pokey tool to put that right at the right distance. Perfection. And here's that one. So we have this for our bookmark. Super cute. And we have these for our coordinating beads. And so again, if it was in a journal, let's just use this page this time. If it was in a journal, it's going to slide down the top. Your strings are going to be your bookmark, and these are going to dangle out the bottom of your junk journal. So very cute little piece for a junk journal. It is double-sided, right? Very cute. I think these are worth making. I hope that you guys sit down and give them a try. I've got 3 done, and I've got a pile more to make. So I will do the picture, the thumbnail picture. We'll show them completed. And then I'm going to try to work on a couple more videos, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.